Hello, YouTube. Guys, I have been absolutely no-lifing Fellowship for the last week. I don't think I've really even been logging into WoW too much for the time being, because I've just been really having a good time and wanting to progress in this game, and it feels like a nice little honeymoon period for Fellowship for me, and so I'm just riding that wave. In this video today, I want to chat to you about Fellowship. Maybe you've heard a little bit about it. Maybe you've not seen too much about it at all. It looks like a WoW clone. Is it the WoW killer? All that kind of stuff. Chat to you guys about all that. Because I do have an audience that are interested in Final Fantasy. Some interested in World of Warcraft. Some interested in maybe neither. So let's get into how Fellowship is faring, what it's all about, and just sort of how I've been finding it personally. As somebody who is a Mythic Plus main, somebody who's made it my main streaming content for the last like 8 years since I have been streaming. So Fellowship at its core is just like a dungeon simulator. For those of you that don't know, it's like WoW Mythic Plus, but it's just in its own standalone little world, right? So you log in and there's no quest, there's no leveling, you can just jump straight in and get into dungeons. And I've had a lot of people talking about how good this is for them because they want to do the end game content of, say, like an MMO, but they just don't want to have to level, or they have friends who they've really wanted to get them into Mythic Plus, but their friends can't be bothered to do all the MMO experience stuff, the leveling, the questing, and all that sort of stuff, and to get to grips with the game. Well, Fellowship is a super easy game to jump into, and I think that's part of what's going to make it a really good game, is the ease by which you can just pick up the game and jump in and get straight into the action. Last night, for example, I switched character to play tank for the first time this season. I say this season, I played it on the open beta, but I've not played since the game's been live. I switched character. I spent some resources that I had stockpiled from playing my main audios, and I logged in. I bought a few pieces of gear, and straight away I'm doing contender sixes with some friends in a pre-made, and just like straight in. And I think we even go, yeah, we got the contender 7 dungeon done. So like already my tank still don't have shoulder pads equipped, still don't have a cape equipped, still don't have rings and relics and stuff. Don't even have all my talents unlocked, but I'm in adept. So watch out for me. Be careful if you see Cyber in your keys. But it's very easy to just jump into, and I think that's a big appeal for a lot of people. So that's why I think it's important to talk about, because a lot of people think, oh, well, do I have to do all this these other chores to get into the content? No, you don't. You can just jump in and play. Very easy to swap character. You do it on the fly. Everything on your account transfers across to your characters. So all of your gold, which you use for like upgrades and purchasing things, all of your gold carries over to your alts. All of your like supply resources that you can then use to buy gear and upgrade gear, that all transfers over to be account wide. I think even your gems as well, so you can socket gems into your gear. I think that's even account wide. So everything is very account wide. Like I just said, I was able to use my resources that I built up on this main character that I'm playing, and then just get my new character up to scratch very, very quickly, without too much fuss. And I could get straight into the content I really wanted to do with my friends without slowing us down too much. These are all really important things because they're ease of access, just getting people into the game, into the content. It's the most important thing, and I found that to be so strong right now, so solid with the game. Within that, then, there's the solo queue system. The solo queue system, I think, is fantastic. Now, that extends from the lowest rank up until basically the highest rank in the game. There's the Eternal League, where you do actually have to play with pre-made, like a pre-made group of 4. That to me is that's an area of concern for me. I'm not outright against it at the moment, but it's something I want to keep an eye on. Because right now, most people that are in Eternal are either going to be people who are very locked in taking it seriously and are like long-term WoW Mythic Plus players. Like, you know, I think like Yoda and stuff have been doing this, and I think like Teddles and stuff are in Eternal. So there are like some long-standing WoW gamers who are in Eternal right now. They have access to pre-mades from what I understand. So they're going to be, they're going to be having a better time of things. It's not going to be too much of a concern for them. But I think once we see more of the average player getting to Eternal, that's when it's going to be like, right, are there some issues here where you've had this solo queue for the whole existence of the game, and then suddenly now you have to pre-made? I guess the only thing I would recommend on that is make friends early, make friends now, so that when you get to Eternal, maybe you have some people to play with and it doesn't feel like you have to start from scratch. That is one area of the game where I think, well, the reason I want to play this game is mainly because of the solo queue, and that sounds ridiculous, but it is. It's not ridiculous, but it is true. It might be also ridiculous, but it is true. I like the idea of the solo queue because something I get really tired of when I'm trying to do content in World of Warcraft is not knowing when my next dungeon will come, right? And in this, I know, okay, maybe I got a 5-minute dungeon timer. Normally, I don't. Normally, it's like a minute max, and you're in. So I really like not having to mess around with getting, somebody trivially deciding what criteria to track on whether or not I'm going to get invited to their key. Like maybe they just don't like the sound of my name. Maybe they don't like the fact that I'm a certain class. Like ZZZ. Let me just get into the content. So, solo queue here is really, really good. And if they force you to have to pre-made when you want to play in the actual highest level dungeons, well, then I may as well go play World of Warcraft, because if I'm going to be sitting around, I may as well be in a game that I'm more established in. You know what I mean? In terms of like my character, my account, my progression, all that kind of stuff. So, I'm going to be watching that carefully. I do think that's a point of contention for me, and I want to see how it plays out. But I'm not there yet, so I want to reserve full judgment until I can experience it for myself. Maybe I find an eternal thank God you have to pre-made because, this would be horrendous if you didn't, as I just whiffed one of my abilities there. That's not my fault. That's my mouse. So that's some stuff there. I do, so I've been enjoying the solo queue aspect. I'm enjoying the ease of access into content. And I think that's been really, really fun. Something I've been really noticing about the game so far as well, like my first week experiences, have been how much I've been expecting people to just be WoW players, to have come from WoW and to understand things like kick, when I mean interrupt, dispel. I had a healer I was playing with yesterday, and I was asking them to dispel a mechanic, I think, on last boss. I can't remember the name of the dungeon, but it's the one with the deer, and the deer charges through the boss. And there's a dispel that needs to happen when you all stack up and soak like the mechanic. And my healer wasn't dispelling it. And I was moving out as a melee to stand in it and soak it, and I'm standing there for 10 seconds waiting for it to dispel. And then the guy was like, after asking for a couple times, we wiped a couple times, and then the guy was like, what is dispel? And so I had to kind of like try and explain, it like look through your abilities or something, it says dispel. The guy was German, so I didn't know the German word for dispel. Maybe you can comment down below so I know for next time. That'd be fantastic. Give it to me in French as well, please, just so I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? I'm ready multilingual. Italian maybe. But I'm realizing that not everyone is just like a WoW player who knows about like interrupts and kicks and dispels and defensive cycling. I mean, this game you only really have, you have one defensive each, it seems like, so it's not really so much a defensive cycle of like rotating defensives as they're going on cooldown and coming up off cooldown. So it's not so much as complex as World of Warcraft in that sense. But I'm realizing that not everyone is a WoW player, and that's caused some very like funny interactions, some like misunderstandings or some expectations. And I've really come into this game with a lot of expectations in that side, and it's been really refreshing playing with people that aren't just WoW player mains. Because something I've noticed as well, maybe this is partly the systems of the game, but something I've noticed is that people don't leave dungeons immediately when they fail. At this point in time anyway. Like right now, people don't just leave dungeons, which is really amazing because you're guaranteed loot at the end of every dungeon. So when you complete anything, even if you failed the timer, you still get loot. It might just drop down a level in terms of the quality of the loot, but what that encourages you to do is like always push for the next level, because you may as well, unless you're trying to like efficiently farm loot, but you may as well try the next level, because even if you fail, well, you're going to get loot from you may as well try the 4, because you're going to get loot that you would have gotten from the 2 anyway, but there's a chance that if you time the 4, you're going to get even better loot. So it kind of, the system encourages you to try harder and to go further, and that I think is really, really good, because it's going to push people on, which is really, really important. But yeah, I'm noticing that, like, yeah, my expectations of the player is different, and people aren't just leaving keys, which is amazing, because you want to get the loot at the end. It's only 10 minutes in and out. It's not the end of the world. However, I will say, I am noticing that, okay, the way that the solo queue system works is that you all vote on a dungeon. So when you enter the solo queue, when the dungeon pops, you have a choice of 3 dungeons at 3 difficulties. So you do like a +3, a +4, or a +5. and I'll notice that tanks will delay, wait and see what people vote on. If they want to actually run a different dungeon, or if that's a dungeon they don't want to do, you'll just instantly see them leave the queue. So there's a little bit of democracy. There's a little bit of how do I describe this without getting demonetized? There's a little bit of I don't want to call it baby raging, but like definitely just being a little bit greedy with your options, with your choice. But hey, I guess that's the choice of the tank. The tank gets to decide what they want to do because no one's playing tank. But I do find it quite funny. I have noticed it. I mean, I've noticed like DPS and healers do it too, but I think tanks in particular. But I think that probably comes with the territory of like they're only geared for a 3 maybe or something, and they don't want to take a 5, and then everyone wants to go and do the 5 because you want the maximum loot and you're a DPS and you don't care. And then your tank's like, I'm not ready for a 5. Okay, I'm gonna leave because I'm not prepared mentally for like that higher level dungeon. So that could be what's going on. But yeah, it's just like a funny little thing that can happen. Yeah, I find it funny. So then, in terms of things like classes, I think that's something that's important to talk about. The classes themselves, you level up into very, very quickly. So after like every dungeon, you're gaining a level, you're gaining talent points or new abilities. You gain your like ultimate ability that everybody has access to. You can see it in the middle of my screen, the X button that slowly charges up over the course of a dungeon. So the classes start out very simple. You have a very simple build, and then they just quite quickly layer on some extra stuff, and quite quickly you'll get up to your full build within a couple hours of playing a character. And you'll get access to your defensive, you'll get access to some kind of crowd control ability, and then you'll get access to an interrupt. Then they've baked in any class utility into the relics. So things like Shroud, things like Gateway, Battle Res, all that kind of stuff is linked to your relic, and you can get 2 relics per character, and they just drop over time. So what's nice about that is you have freedom and choice of how you want to build out your composition, because, you know, assuming that balance is going to be pretty decent, and, you know, people aren't going to be like, oh, well, you have to play with Alarian, it has the highest single target prio, and all that kind of cringe stuff that we're going to have to worry about soon enough in Eternal. But right now it's like so new and unestablished. I guess people don't really know what the best thing is yet, to be honest. People don't know the best routes, the best gearing, the best loadouts, and all that kind of stuff. Best legendaries. It's all got to come. There's a lot of a lot of time here for this like to develop and see how the meta and stuff might form and whatnot. But hopefully people will just be able to play whatever they want to play. And the classes themselves, for me right now, there's not a whole lot of choice in what class you do play. There's only 2 tanks, there's only 2 healers. If they don't gel with you, then that's it. You're just gonna go, well, I'm not gonna play this. Like if you want to go play a tank and you realize that the 2 tanks available just aren't your speed, they're not your tempo, then you're gonna go, oh well, that okay, I don't really want to play that, then I'll wait until new tanks come out. So the classes right now that I've found are really fun to play. I was playing some tank last night. I'm maining. I'm still deciding what my main's going to be, but right now I'm in Champion League with Audios, and I'm really enjoying the experience of playing this character. But like, so things that I have played, I've really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the tank. I've been playing Mako, the like monk tank. Really been enjoying that as well. Actually, very, very fun. But I can see that some people might not find a class for them that works for them. And I was clutching at straws when the game was leaving the beta weekend and it was coming into the early access. I didn't know what I was going to main, and I was umming and ahhing over a few things, and I wasn't fully sure because nothing really spoke to me and stuck out to me. But since then, I've given Audios a try and really enjoyed it. I think they need more classes, and that is my biggest point of contention. That's the biggest area of concern for me in terms of the long-term health of the game, and where people go, well, is this going to be dead in a week? That's a meme question. Like, is this game going to die? It's a meme question, because that is the nature of all gaming and streaming and Twitch and everything these days, is people follow the wave, they follow the trend. Like, what is Summit 1G playing this month? What is Shroud playing? What's Annie Fuchsia playing? I don't even know if Soda Poppin follows trends or whatnot, but like, you know, what are these guys playing for the month? Because that's the game of the month. And and that's just how it works on Twitch now. Is everyone's just following that? Is it Mega Bonk? I think Fellowship has a really solid longevity to it if they work quickly if within the next month we get like a new dungeon and a new hero or something, then you can go, right, okay, we've got content rolling. This is a worthy investment. This is worth putting some time into here. Like, we've got a long-term plan. And even if the developers just come out and put out a post just to say like a little game dev interview where they can say, right, this is a champion we've got planned that's releasing in 3 weeks from now. This is a champion we've got planned to come a few weeks after that. We've got some new dungeons planned, etc., like balance tuning and whatever else, and we're adding new items, all that kind of stuff. Like, if we can just see some long-term growth in the short term, then I think that will give people a lot of confidence that this is a worthwhile game of investment. I think for the fact that it's only £18, you can easily get a few weeks of gameplay out of this. Absolutely no question. I've been playing it for a week as a streamer, and okay, admittedly not like 24 hours a day, but I've been playing it quite a bit, and I haven't reached the max level yet. I haven't hit the max league on even one character, and there are many fun characters to play. Like, I really like the look of Tarek, this two-hand arms warrior mixed with an elemental shaman, or an in-hand shaman, sorry. And then there's Audios, who I'm really enjoying. The tank Mako I really like. I'm gonna be playing some Sylvie. Sylvie's a very fun healer. It's like a Resto Druid, Resto Shaman mix. Then what else? Mara, I want to give Mara more of a try. Mara probably would end up being my top dog, my ultimate sort of main character eventually. But right now, I just don't feel super comfortable playing it. I feel like I need more practice on it. But yeah, really, really quite fun in terms of a lot of the classes that currently exist. I just want to see more of them be added sooner rather than later. So that's just something to talk about with the class design. And yeah, like I say, very simple classes. I find it is WoW-esque. Right now I'm playing Audios, and it kind of reminds me of like a Windwalker Monk, where I've got a bunch of small cooldowns, and then some medium length cooldowns, and then some longer cooldowns. And really, for my damage windows, I want to line everything up nicely together. So I really want to line up like, okay, I can AoE dot everything with my main dot, and then I can put on, and then I can do this big fireball explosion, which is going to do another dot, and then I can send in my fire frogs, which is going to apply another dot, and then I can use my, I think it's called Searing Blaze, which is going to, I mean, it has a few effects, but it's another dot, and then I can use my weapon, which is going to increase my damage to that target and store up damage that I do, and then it's going to burst after a short delay, after it's like soaked up all the damage that I've been doing, and then I can start detonating durations of my dots, and then I can use my ultimate, which is going to extend all my dots, and it's just like, it's really feels good, and there's a lot of syncing up all of my cooldowns together and aligning them all, and it feels really nice to do, and it feels fun to play. And it's a little bit hectic at times, especially like right then I was just in the Adept 7 dungeon, so that helps me get into the next league, and it was actually what I needed to get into the Champion League. So that was really fun to play, a little bit hectic and stuff. So I noticed I'm still making like a lot of mistakes and stuff, but it's really quite fun to play the class, and when it all comes together, you got really great like burst damage, and so it's fun, and it looks like a lot of the classes right now are good. I've not played with any class so far that I've gone, oh, this guy really just sucks to play with. I hate when I get X in my groups. Nothing really feels like that at the moment. Now, in terms of like class responsibility and stuff, in terms of gameplay, it's kind of it is kind of weird because you're quite limited in what you have. Like, I have a single target CC or crowd control. I have an interrupt, and then I have a defensive, and that's it. Apart from that, I'm just AFK DPSing. And getting used to that is kind of weird, like not having that many tools. But then the game doesn't require you to have that many tools. There's some things you want to interrupt, there's some things you want to kite, there's some things you want to maybe CC a bit. But apart from that, you can actually spend a lot of time just DPSing, just healing and whatnot. And so it's kind of nice. Like, there's not as much responsibility on you, the player. And that might be really encouraging for a lot of people. Some people might see that and go, yeah, you know what? That sounds like my speed. Yeah. So for me, I absolutely think that this game is definitely worth picking up if you are in any way interested in doing dungeons, if you like WoW Mythic Plus or anything like that. I absolutely would encourage you to check this game out. It's only £18 on Steam. That's nothing right now compared to other games. It's really fun. It's got some. It needs a little bit of polish. It still needs a little bit of you know, kind of like fine tuning and stuff. There's a few little bugs and a few awkward situations, and some bosses are overtuned compared to others, and some classes could be improved in some areas, and they could add more classes, etc. But for the most part, it's really solid foundation, very encouraging. I personally am very positive about Fellowship and the direction that it's moving. And I don't really have that much to critique it on, really. So let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking about the game, how you're enjoying the game. But this video is more so just kind of aimed to be at people who are curious about Fellowship, but maybe heard a little bit about it and are not sure what to make of it and whether or not it's worth the £18 price tag that it currently has. I think so. So yeah, cool. Just wanted to go through that with you guys, talk to you about how I've been experiencing the game and how I've been enjoying my first week. I've really had a blast. It's just felt very like Moorish. Like every dungeon I do, I just want to jump into another one and another one and another one. Quick 10-minute dungeons, just where you're guaranteed loot, just means like I just don't have that same feeling in WoW where like depleting it doesn't bother me. It doesn't phase me. I don't care. I'm gonna get loot at the end. I know it's gonna just I can move on quick to the next group. It's a very nice breath of fresh air. And is it going to be like a WoW kill or anything like that? No, that's not a thing. But it could be something that seasonally you jump on, do a Fellowship season, play that for a few weeks, blast it out, get some ranks, whatever, get up on the leaderboard, and then you take a break and you go play the new game of the month from the other indie dev, and then you know, cool. And then there's a new WoW season, and then you go play the new WoW season and whatnot. But I think there's a lot of good stuff in here that Blizzard could look at. I'm really enjoying the fact that like everybody gets loot at the dungeon at the end of the dungeon. If you deplete, it doesn't matter because you could just go again and you still get rewards. That it just feels like I've not really been seeing anybody flaming one another at the moment, and you know, it's all good stuff. I am very curious. One last thing I do want to talk about actually is and I've been meaning to bring this up, but I kept forgetting to talk about it during this video. People have not yet outgeared their skill level. And what I mean by that is right now, this is for me the most interesting thing of Fellowship, actually. So I'm annoyed that I kept forgetting to bring it up. But there's going to be a point. I've been talking about this. There is a point right now where people are trying to do Adept, and people go, "Oh, dude, Adept is a mess today. Everybody is failing everything. It is horrendous." You go, yeah, because everyone's under-geared still. People are trying to, like, progress, right? They're trying to go through the different ranks and unlock the new stuff, but they haven't actually geared for their skill level, or, like, they're doing content, like, you're seeing tanks just absolutely flop over. Now, to be fair, they are buffing tanks, like, today or whenever the new patch goes out, so thank goodness. But people are still at a point where the game is, like, too difficult for where they're geared to. Eventually what will happen is you'll have people that are like hard stuck contender, hard stuck adept, hard stuck champion, but they will eventually just outgear, like they'll get tons of gear and they will be over geared for champion and over geared for adept, but they'll still be stuck there, or they'll be unmotivated to move on to the next rank because they think, you know what, I'm happy with where I'm at now. There's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people like that in World of Warcraft that are 723 item level. They've been getting their weekly vault, doing their delves, doing their weekly 10s every single week. They're absolutely stacked, but they're never moving beyond a plus 10 or a plus 12. And it creates this very weird dynamic where you have people that are too geared for the content that they're in, and they should, like, everything should be pushing them on to be moving up. It's kind of like Billy Madison, right? You have a 30-year-old in your high school class. That guy should have moved on by now, but no, he likes it in the high school. Okay, this is getting weird. Chris Hansen's calling. But you know what I mean? Like, it's they should be further on, but they've decided to artificially cap themselves. And in WoW, that makes it really awkward because you're trying to join a group on your ult for a +8 and you're perfectly adequately geared for it. You're I'm trying to think of the item level right now. You're like, yeah, you're like 710 item level trying to do a +8. By all means, you should be in that key. But somebody is 723 and they just don't want to move on, so they sign up to the +8, and the party leader obviously is going to invite the guy with 13 more item levels than the other dude. But then that makes it really difficult for you to now get into the dungeon that you are appropriately geared for, appropriately leveled for. And that causes a real, I guess, like traffic jam in a way. A lot of congestion, I think. The fact that there is a solo queue in this game makes it so that you don't have as many of those problems, because you might just luck into a dungeon where you group with somebody who's super high geared and has done that dungeon a bunch of times, but they haven't like moved on to the next league because maybe they just don't want to. So that's a very interesting component for me. I think is people out gearing their skill level and then like not necessarily choosing to move further on through the game. And I guess it's just like cool to kind of think about some of that and think about how some of that's going to play out. But yeah, that was all I wanted to conclude on there. So I'm really enjoying the game. Yeah, I don't think it's like a WoW killer or anything like that. I don't think that's a good expectation to have, but I absolutely think that it can be encouraging for the WoW devs to look at some of these things and say, why are we artificially giving people this just bad experience in World of Warcraft where they have trouble getting into the key, then they get into the key and then it's a miserable time, and then they get flamed, and then somebody leaves and then they can't complete the key, and now their key's depleted and they've lost the key and it's dropped down to a level that they don't need or don't want in this system that's all about pushing to the highest IO and stuff like that. And it's like just all of those bad experiences that you want to avoid and that leave a bad taste in your mouth in World of Warcraft and stops you from wanting to really like push up in that game. Maybe Blizzard can look at something like Fellowship where you don't have those nasty experiences, you don't have that bad taste in your mouth, and maybe we see some improvements to World of Warcraft, and maybe like this sort of relationship can develop where Blizzard takes some things from Fellowship, Fellowship takes some things from Blizzard and other games, and everybody's kind of happy, and the player base are the ones to benefit ultimately at the end of the day. But yeah, those are my final thoughts, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to the tank buffs that are coming in at the next patch, and see you guys all in Fellowship. If you want to come play with me, feel free. I'm streaming it all the time now at the moment. I do still have plans to do more like WoW Alpha and everything like that, but come add my Fellowship code if you want to come play. Like, just come pop in stream and I'll give it to you, and there might be some times where we can play together. I'm going to be tanking, healing. I want to try and do some stuff where I just help people get into Adept and help people get into Champion. So if I can get my tank geared up, ready for like Adept, I can go and help boost people through into Adept, which could be really, really nice, or boost them up into Champion, which I think would be very, very nice for people to just get them a good group so that they can they can just progress through the game and continue on. Because I think right now getting through that Adept 7 dungeon is kind of hit or miss, and so that would be very nice to do. So I'll see what I can do. Come join me in stream, twitch.tv/Cybear. Twitch.tv/Cybear_TV, Twitch, YouTube, Kick, you name it, I'm there. And I'm going to love you and leave you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.